Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm working with you step by step through the ABRSM Theory grades. We're cracking on now with Grade 4 Theory. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets. They're available in US letter and A4 and they accompany each step of this series. There's also a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials. And also you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory, and it's an exam technique guide full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to best make use of the time when you're actually sitting in the exam room and working on your exam paper. So if you visit sharonbill.com, it's all there for you. If you can give me a like, that'd be great, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's loads in store. And so if you want to grab your pencil, you need a nice sharp pencil. I've got a mechanical pencil here so it stays sharp, but you need an eraser and a ruler. And we're ready to get cracking. So if you'll turn with me to page 14 in your Music Theory and Practice workbook. And we're going to be looking at the second part of this page. We're going to be looking at duplets. So if you want to just turn in your PDF document to section D, there's also a little bit of an explanation here. All the things that I mentioned will also be explained here to remind you. And so basically a duplet is the reverse of the triplets that we did back in grade 2. A duplet literally stretches 2 into the time of 3. There is an alternative where instead of adding a duplet sign, you could actually add dots instead, and a duplet just sort of quickly does that maths job for you, so it stretches, whereas a triplet, if you remember, squished 3 into the time of 2. We're now going the other way, where a duplet stretches 2 beats into the time of 3. And don't forget, we can have different variations so long as it averages out to the 3 beats or the 2 beats there. So let's have a look at that in practice. You can see that there we have 2 in the time of 3 quavers or eighth notes. Here we have 2, and the duplet makes 2 crotchets or 2 quarter notes into the time of 3, and the process continues. So it just literally stretches the time without the need for dots and lots of complicated maths. And so I think it's easier to do than it's perhaps first appears to be. And so if we have a go at exercise 4 together, and then you can perhaps try the rest on your own and we'll check those through together afterwards. So looking at this in practice, exercise 4 asks us to put bar lines in these extracts. So we're going to have to just bear in mind some duplets to think about our timing. So we're in the time signature of 6/8, which would be 6 quaver beats per bar. There's our groups of 3. Which would be that. That's what our basic time signature will look like. And so here we've got 1, 2, 3. However, this duplet stretches these 2 into the time of 3. And so really there's our next group of 3, and that's our bar line. And that's literally what it does. It just stretches the timing. So in performance terms, you'd just take a little bit longer over there to fill the dotted crotchet beat. So here we've got 1, 2, 3. There's our first group of 3. And then here we've got a duplet which stretches these 2 quaver beats, these 2 eighth notes, into the time of 3. The fact that one of them is a rest is irrelevant. Oh, tripping over my tongue there. So there's our first group of 3, our second group of 3 there incorporated into that duplet. And so there's the bar line. 1, 2, 3. There's our first group of 3, and then this duplet stretches these 2 into the time of 3, and so there's our next group of 3. So there's the bar line. Okay, let's carry on to the end. 1, 2, 3, there's our first group of 3. And then remember, the fact that it's a rest doesn't change anything, so those 2 quaver beats are stretched into the time of 3 with the duplet. And so there's our next group of 3. And the process continues, 1, 2, 3, and the duplet stretches the timing into a group of 3 again. And so that just works out nicely for our bar line. There we go. So if you want to turn the page over and try these next 3 exercises on your own and then re-access into the video, and we'll work through those together. So don't forget that dots do the same job as the duplets. Let's have a look at this one together then. So again, we're counting in that same time signature of 6/8. So we've got 2 groups of 3. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and those 2 dots will create the missing 3rd beat. So there's our next group of 3 bar line. So it does the same job adding dots as a duplet would do. Don't forget rests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 2 dots will create the 6th. And there we go. So in this next exercise, I'm hoping that you've got the principle by now. This time, however, we're counting 3 groups of 3. So we've got 9 eighths or 9 quaver beats per bar. 1, 2, 3, there's our first group. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's nice and straightforward. There we go. Let's see what happens now. 1, 2, 3, and then here's our next 2 groups, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's our 1, 2, 3 groups of 3 bar line. And then here, these duplets will of course stretch these 2s into the time of 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equivalent. There's our 3 groups of 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. I hope that's now clear to you. This next one, this last one, looks quite busy. However, the principle remains, so just take your time and work through it slowly. Of course, now we're counting 4 groups of 3, 12 eighths or 12 quaver beats per bar. If you want to just sort of clear the path before you even get counting, you can just kind of sketch out where your duplets are. There's a group of 3. There's a group of 3. Let's look again. So same principle here. The duplets stretch those into a group of 3. And then you've kind of done the thinking before you've even started counting. That might help. Same principle here. If it helps you to just visualise what's going on. There's our group of 3. Okay, so now we're ready to get counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's our first bar line. So if you want to count it in 12s still, you can do that. A quicker way is to count 4 groups of 3. So 1 group, 2nd group, 3rd group, don't forget the rests, 4th group. There. Just got a bit overlapped with my sort of sketchy circle there. Group 1, group 2, group 3, and then 1, 2, 3. There's our 4th group there. Okay, so here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's our 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the duplet. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go then. So let's continue to look at this concept of duplets. However, now they've asked us to rewrite these extracts using new time signatures. Make sure that you keep the same rhythmic effect. So basically, we're going to be swapping from simple time to compound time or vice versa. So here we've got 2 groups of crotchet beats. Here we start off thinking we've got 6 quaver beats, but we know that that works out as duple compound. So we've got to basically stretch groups of 2 into groups of 3 to go from simple to compound. And so the easiest way to do that is, up until now we've added a dot, so you could add dots there, but it's just more simple even further to stick a duplet. We remove the triplet to go from, we don't want to squish that now into a group of 2, we let that really be a group of 3, and then we're going to need to add dots like we did in the previous grade, just to add this crochet from a group of 2 to a group of 3. That's the same as we did in the previous grade. So the only difference now is we're stretching a group of 2 to a group of 3 by adding a duplet sign. So we'll just work through this one together, and then I'll leave you to complete the rest once you've had a little go with me. So I'm just going to get the blobs in. I suppose I've already done my thinking there. Let's just get the blobs in. We'll think about it afterwards. Blobs, I'm sure that's not the technical term. I should say note heads. Okay. So we remove the triplet because we can just allow this to be a group of 3 in compound time. So we just need to beam those, no need for the triplet now. That's gone. We've added a dot to go from a group of 2 to a group of 3, because that was just my sketch, that wasn't there. Now here we've got a group of 2, and so to make that a group of 3, very quickly we can just do that with the addition of that duplet. We can let this just be a group of 3 by removing the triplet sign, because there's no need to squish it into a group of 2, we need it to stay in a group of 3. Same principle here. And then of course at the very end we add a dot, just like we did in the previous grade. So just to reiterate, a triplet kind of squishes 3 in the time of 2, whereas a duplet stretches 2 into the time of 3. Have a little go and try exercises B and C. It's always better to try. It doesn't matter if you go wrong. You're only ever working in pencil, so it's quite easy to rub that out. And so I'm hoping you've had a little go on your own. Do so and then re-access into the video, and then we'll just check through it together. Just kind of scramble your brain a bit at first, but it's not too mathematical once you get the gist. So we're going from 4 beats, which are crotchets or quarter notes, so of course they will divide into groups of 2, that's simple time. And now we're going into 12 quaver beats, which we know is quadruple time, 4 groups of 3. So we're going from 4 groups of 2 to 4 groups of 3. And we do that by removing the triplet, adding a dot, and then here if we've got a group of 2 we need to stretch that into a group of 3, and so that's where our duplet will start to come into action. So let's just get the note heads in. Oftentimes it's easy enough to visualise it and then you just do the maths. Oh, here we are, we've got another group of 2, so that's going to have to be stretched into a group of 3. And then you can do the maths to double check, because I think you can kind of visualise where it's going to go. So here, there's our group of 3. We've removed the triplet, and now to make this into a group of 3 we'll add a dot. And then to make this into a group of 3 we could add dots just like we've done here, but it's just as simple to add the duplet, so we'll do that. Add a dot. Add a dot, so we've gone from groups of 2 to groups of 3. We can let this just be a group of 3 without squishing it, so we just remove the triplet sign. I think I'll need a ruler for that one. There we go. Again, we can just remove the triplet sign and that will do the job for us. There's no need to squish it, we can just let that be a group of 3. Here we're going from a group of 2 to a group of 3 by adding a dot, just like we did in the previous grade. Here we're going from a group of 2 to a group of 3. We could add dots to each one of these, but it's just as simple to add the duplet. That will do the job for us, to stretch it into a group of 3. Add a dot, add a dot, add a dot. There we go. So this last one, I'm hoping you've had a little go at this yourself. If not, perhaps do so now. I'm just going to map out. I always keep the bar lines aligned so I don't lose track where I am, so you're not going to lose place. So here we've got 3 beats per bar, which are crochet beats or quarter notes, so that will be 3 groups of 2. Here we know that 9 quaver beats translates into 3 groups of 3. And so before we get going, let's just visualise what's going to happen. We've got to go from groups of 2 to groups of 3. So let's find out where our groups of 2 are here. So don't forget rest still counts. So there's one group of 2. There's another group of 2. That's been made into a group of 2 with the triplet. So if we just remove the triplet, that will be okay. So these will have to stretch. We've got a group of 2 here that we'll need to stretch. We've got a group of 2 here that we'll need to stretch. And so the principle remains. So here's a group of 2. The fact that it's beamed doesn't change anything. Here's a group of 2. So we're going to have to stretch those into groups of 3. If we just remove the triplet, that'll do the job for us here. And you can see that's going to follow suit. So although it looks really, really busy, actually it's quite simple. Just don't forget that rests count. There's our group of 2 that needs stretching with a duplet. Of course you could add dots as well, but in this case it's just as quick to add a duplet. And don't forget that just because it's beamed together, it doesn't change the fact that we're now seeing 2 groups of 2 there. So we can just, we've done the thinking really, we've just got to crack on now and map that out. So here's our rest. Let's just get these note heads in first. So that one is tied to that one. There we go. And so to show that we need to group this 2 here with a duplet, we'll just put a little bracket over the top. The beam will do the job for us here. Okay, and then here's our group. There's not a lot of room. This is where you really need a sharp pencil. Tie those together. We don't need the triplet sign anymore because we've not got to squish. We can just let this be a group of 3 to be in compound time. So here we're going to have to just break that beam there because we've got 2 separate groups of 2, and if we add the duplet that will stretch it into a group of 3. There we go. I think I've gone a bit over there, I'm running out of space. Just keep it aligned. Let's just tuck that up a bit. There we are, that's better. There's our duplet sign. Okay, so here we've got a group of 3 and we can let that be a group of 3 by just removing the triplet sign. That's job done. Here we've got a group of 2, which we could add dots to, but it's just as easy to stick a number 2. There we are, we've stretched those 2 into a group of 3. Remove the triplet signs and then they are nicely in groups of 3 for compound time. And then in performance terms, oh, not yet for the sharp, the rhythmic effect isn't changed. One, 2, 3. Oh dear. More haste, less speed, as my gran used to say. Take my time and neatly get my manuscript together. There we go. And then again we just remove the triplet, and that's nicely a group of 3 for us already. And then we can't do anything else with that because we don't know what else is going on, so just put etc. and then that's left open. There we go then. So that's duplets. I do hope that's been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Give me a like, that'd be great, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in store. Please do visit sharonbill.com. There's lots there to help you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.